Are you able to see my slide?
Not yet.
Yeah.
It's coming. Yeah. Yes, it is.
It's coming. Yeah.
All right. Greetings, everyone. A warm welcome to Exchanging Ideas 21 Global 5G Evolution. Please take a minute to click the subscribe button on our YouTube channel right on the top. Thank you, everyone. I'm Kaneshwaran Govindasamy, and I would like to present on the topic titled as CSP's Key Consumer 5G Monetization Models. Now, as you see this particular slide, this is the 5G consumer monetization approaches. More than 160 communication service providers have started connecting consumers to their 5G networks, at least according to the Ookla. And in analyzing the strategies, over 100 mobile operators, Nokia have done a survey where they have observed 4 broad approaches to the monetization. As you see right at this bottom here, this is the easiest way to price and package 5G to present it as just another G. And 79% of the CSPs that Nokia studied offer 5G as an option built upon the existing 4G. And in some cases, 5G is only available with the higher tier plans, creating a certain amount of upsell potential. But in general, this approach sees 5G being given away as a perk to 4G subscribers. And the second block is an interesting plan is known as all you can eat, which is the unlimited 5G data. The simplest and most common of the differentiation monetization approach on the unlimited 5G data plans offered by at least 70% of the CSPs. And these premium price plans are designed to attract any subscriber who heavily using the mobile data, whether it's video calling, video streaming, cloud gaming, or emerging services like the augmented reality and the virtual reality. And the third block is the fast and furious, the speed-based pricing. And it is one of a way of generating additional revenue to offer a tiered plan based on a different 5G network speeds. Finland, Elisa is a successful pioneer of the approach. And Elisa has proved that speed-based pricing can generate revenue uplift even with unlimited data plans. And lastly is the 5G Augmented Lifestyle. It's very much a personalized service bundles and the most advanced monetization approach, and the one that CSPs take it as the furthest more comfort from the 4G to offer services that target specific hobbies, activities, lifestyle preference. And this approach requires deep insight into the subscriber base in order to craft service bundles that appeal to specific demographic players of VR games or sports fans looking for enhanced match day experience. So over time, as CSPs gather more data about customer preference, they can move towards a flexible consumption model with personalized offers for each subscribers. Now, this slide is quite interesting in terms of the key finding where Nokia has done a survey from 3,000 smartphone users. And what the users have told to Nokia is that the consumers were attracted to all of the higher value of 5G services Nokia presents, but the ones with the most appeal are the fixed wireless access, the FWA, as an alternate to the wired broadband, and the 5G enhanced mobile broadband as well in term, and also the video use cases includes high quality video captures, streaming and calling, as well as video detection with alerts. Now, let's touch base in terms of the 5G fixed wireless access for consumers. It's a viable alternative to the wired broadband, and it gives a faster speed and greater reliability. And in terms of the opportunity for consumers, it gives a fast gigabit capable broadband with very low lag in the range of 5 to 10 milliseconds, and also with ultra fast cloud gaming capabilities. And it gives a widened choice of provider. And the beauty of this that whether it's telco, the CSP, or the internet service provider, or the independent provider, they can able to have this FWA. And the beauty of the benefit for the CSPs when it comes to FWA is because of the lower capex with the subscriber self-installation, and it gives a flexible service for a boosted ARPU. The second monetization model, which is quite impressive or taking a good growth, is the 5G immersive experience for consumers. Anything to do with the entertainment or educational experiences, remotely explore locations and event experiences, interactive multiplayer gaming, new products with virtual reality, augmented reality. So the opportunity for CSPs, it's that it's an additional revenue package for, by partnering with the gaming service providers. There's a lot of mobile operators like Vodafone, Deutsche Telekom, Singtel, StarHub has already started partnering with the gaming service provider, and they have also came out with educational apps to do with the AR as well, so that there's more children, school or college could able to use the animation 3D 360-degree immersive packages. So that is quite impressive in that sense. And when it comes to the 5G video applications for consumers, this is very much related to the home users, or it can be the small medium enterprises or the factories, where live streaming, social media, home monitoring, surveillance for safety and security. With the CCTV, it's a high range kind of CCTV with the AI capability and video analytics as well, together with the edge computing boxes that's built in order to give the intelligent processing power to make sure they can able to have that smooth viewing from remotely as well. So CSPs have started to build packages, end-to-end surveillance, where they will partner with the retail channel partners to provide such packages to the SMEs or the home users. So this package known as a service solutions, and it will be upfront fee plus a monthly subscription. Now, smart venues for consumers, that gives an opportunities for consumers in terms of the stadiums and the concerts as well. So in terms of use cases such as multiple live video feeds, including the behind the scenes event footage, access a real-time player of the statistics. Some of the countries have actually shown a proven where there's a camera to the fixed to the shirt of each of the players, so that the audience from the stadium or from the home could able to experience as though that they are playing on the field. So that kind of real kind of streaming experience, fun, excitement are done in smart venues for consumers. And the opportunities for CSPs, it gives an enhanced operational and security services, more efficient infrastructure services, and it gives some sort of unique enrichment for their consumers as well. And lastly, this is the 5G connected vehicles for consumers. Many were saying that anything to do with autonomous vehicle connection, it will take for a long number of years. But as far as I know, the 5G connected vehicles, it has already been tested, proved very well. A lot of automotive manufacturers like BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, they have already done all kind of use case tests in terms of improved road safety, increased travel comfort, enhance in vehicle infotainment, driver behavioral insights, enhanced navigation, and all those, so on and so forth. It is already there, it's already available there. And mobile network operators have started to partner with the car manufacturers in order to give such kind of brilliant 5G use cases applications towards to the consumers. And definitely that will be an advantage to the CSPs, because that will be a new subscription models rather than the traditional way of giving a voice and a data service. It also gives mobility as a service towards to their customers as well. So this is overall an idea of the monetization models in terms of the upcoming, the one that is happening today, and it gives some sort of rich experience towards to the consumers, and those enablers from the 5G includes the 5G new radios, the NRs, the mobile edge computing, the network slicing feature, to give a dedicated resources for the respective requirement in terms of the KPIs, so that they get a good deal in terms of pricing for their customers. The precision positioning, particularly in the manufacturing industry, and also in terms of the security as well. So this is the overall presentation from my side. And I would like to pass on to the next speaker. Let me introduce Anchal Sadhana from New Delhi, India, to present on sustainability green telcos. Over to you, Anchal.
Hi, everyone. Hope all of you are doing good. The last 1.5 years were really very tough for all of us. We witnessed one of the humanity's biggest lockdown in the country, right? It really gave us time to stop, think, and take some learning forward. And one of the learning and the message that was very crystal clear was that nature holds the supreme power and we need to protect it. I remember at the same time, there were many images of animals and birds flocking in social media, that these animals have made a comeback. The air quality index also improved for many countries. Pandemic actually gave us a forced pause to our fast-paced lifestyle, but at the same time, it also made us rethink that how our choices can affect the collective good of the society. But the real question today is, do we really need a global pandemic to force us to live sustainability? Achal Sardana, I'm part of Wipro and I head the CSP and NEP business development for Wipro. Today, bring a topic which is very close to my heart. It's a mix of nature, 5G and CSPs. Yes, you are right. Sustainability, the green telcos. Let's go to the very fundamental of what basically the future of 5G promises. Yes, it promises more speed. From 4G, 10 millisecond, the latency has moved now to 1 millisecond. The data traffic per month, which used to be 7.2 exabyte, is now basically 50 exabytes per month. The peak data rates, which we were saying 1 Gbps, with 5G, it is 20 Gbps. The available spectrum, which was 3 gigahertz, is now to 30 gigahertz. Look at the connection density. We were talking about 100,000 connections per kilometer square. Now it's 1,000,000 connections per kilometer square. So it's altogether bringing a connected ecosystem. Now, where we have this connected ecosystem, the speed, capacity, the connectivity of 5G, it provides us many opportunities to basically protect and preserve the environment, thus enabling a more sustainable future. So here I am representing a snapshot from Qualcomm, which was taken along with the GSMA, that how some of the 5G enterprise use cases can actually lead to the reduction of 374 million metric tons of greenhouse gas emissions in United States. So you can look at this graph where we have smart living, smart transport, smart manufacturing, smart buildings, smart agriculture, smart energy, overall contributing, leading to 374 million metric tons in 2025. Now, let us deep dive more into these examples, that how these examples are enabling us to lead a more sustainable future. Moving on to the next slide, you can see the pesticide use reduction, right? So when we see with unmanned aerial vehicles, like with the help of use of UAVs, or we can talk about drones, if we use the pesticides, okay, for remote sensing, spray application, the overall reduction of the pesticides possible is 50% less. If we use our water utilization properly, right? we can save up to 410 billion gallons of water just by offering increase insight where the leakages are, okay, and how this pattern of usage of water is. We can actually save 410 billion gallons of water. So this is all part of this Qualcomm study which was done with GSMA, which actually brought us to this result. 20% improvement in fuel efficiency. So you can see that we can improve the efficiency, right? If we use more of green power, right? When we talk about the solar energy or the wind power, it is bringing us the effective utilization of energy. So there's 20% improvement in the fuel efficiency. With 5G, more and more of green jobs are created. There's a lot of vacancies which are created in the field of data scientists, data engineering, software engineering. So it has led to the study that 300K new green jobs will be there by 2030. So we have seen at one end, 5G is really contributing with some of the enterprise use cases, which can actually help us to lead a sustainable world. But at the same time, these use cases, they require very high connectivity, which means the transmitters and the receivers need to be very powerful. They need to have a very greater processing capabilities. They need to transmit at a very high power. Studies have shown that a 5G base station is actually expected to consume roughly 3 times as much as power a 4G station can. And also, to provide a better coverage, these 5G towers, they're placed very closely to each other, thus amplifying the use of power. At the same time, with so much of data generated, everything is moving on to clouds. And these clouds, they need the air conditioning system, the cooling system, the heat radiation with these servers are very high, which is again increasing the consumption. So telcos, if you see overall, it has two sides of it. One side, it is really contributing to reduce the carbon footprint by bringing some innovative use cases, but at the same time, it need to lower its own end-to-end emissions. Now let's see how these telcos can reduce their end-to-end emissions. Okay, and some of the telcos who have already committed to net zero carbon emission, you can read about Telefonica, AT&T, Orange, Verizon, T-Mobile, British Telecom, Vodafone, Telia. Most of the telcos have already given their commitment to net zero and how they are doing it. Let's see some of the steps. So firstly, they're using renewable source of energy, such as solar or wind power. So to power their network, they need generators. Sometimes they need these generators work on diesels, which are contributing to the carbon emission. So they're using renewable source of energies like powering these equipments through solar power or wind power. Secondly, when they're moving towards 5G, they're shutting down their legacy infrastructures, which is not in use, so that the zero power gets transmitted from these legacy infrastructure. Third is 5G brings a lot of energy saving features, right? So it is using those energy saving features to emit lesser power. Also, it is modernizing its hardware to the energy efficient infrastructure. And you also know, I mean, when we talk about virtualization or cloudification, it is what? On a single server, many instances of components can be hosted, right? So virtualization and cloudification is actually reducing and optimizing the usage of compute nodes. Also, there are various features like deep sleep modes as per the traffic conditions. So based on the traffic conditions, the BTS can shut down and power on, and it can efficiently optimize the power usage. There are also steps which these telcos are taking, like thermal management at the data centers by various energy efficient solutions. Also, analytics is definitely playing a key role, because based on this analytics, you can optimize your traffic. You can let the BTS know that which BTS need to transmit more power, which BTS need to transmit less power. So all these radio stations optimizations can be easily done with the usage of analytics. So AI will play definitely a green role towards green telco, and all the telcos are adopting some of these basic factors to go towards the greenhouse effect, to basically reduce the greenhouse emissions. This is a study from Nokia, which has showed various methods which are being adopted by the telcos to reduce the environmental footprint of your network, like use of renewables. We already talked about use of solar energy, wind energy, 22% it is contributing. AI-based network management. So based on the traffic, analytics can play a key role. Newer wireless technologies improve with energy efficiency. 5G, it brings a lot of energy efficiency features. Decommissioning legacy 2G and 3G networks. Yes, it's the time when we need to shut down our legacy networks and switch on to 5G networks. Traditional rule-based network management, pre-programmed of these shutdown times, right? Improving the energy efficiency of passive infrastructures like equipments like cooling, battering, generating. So we can improve the energy efficiency. In this way, we can be a contributor to a more sustainable world, and most of the telcos are committed to it. So thank you.
Thank you, Anshal. That was brilliant. I appreciate that. So moving on to the next speaker, let me introduce Karin Leudel from Nuremberg, Germany, to present on 5G for Industry 4.0 and Fraunhofer IIS 5G test bed.
Sorry, it was my mic was muted. So let me try to share the screen. So I hope you all seeing the screen.
Awesome.
Great. So thanks for the introduction and the chance to be here. Today I want to speak a little bit about the possibilities of 5G for industry application, especially for manufacturing, and also on the features of positioning within 5G. So I think if we speak about 5G, we also have to have a little bit greater look on all the wireless technologies that are available. So we have, especially in industry, we not only have 5G, we have also the generations before 4G running. We have Wi-Fi available, especially Wi-Fi 6 is starting to come in. We have Bluetooth, Zigbee, we have all these low power wide area networks. And I think we should all be aware that these technologies can also be integrated in 5G and combined with 5G. So 5G is prepared and has interfaces to integrate also these other technologies. And this really makes it to a nice base, the fundamental wireless communication solution, especially for industries. What's also important to know, and this is sometimes I have a discussion, is that 5G not means that everything what we have discussed over the last years is available with the first release. So in the most countries we have running release 15 and 16. Sometimes there's still a non-standalone installation, so there is a 5G core, and there's now the start that we see more and more standalone solutions, so completely 5G, no 4G integrated. And I think the RAM people are currently working on the release 17. SA1, where I'm a delegate, we closed the requirements for release 18 some weeks ago. And we will have the discussion on the prioritization of all the release 18 requirements by the end of this week. And we will see this enhanced mobile broadband, many of you talked about this, is available. We are using it, we are implementing it. But especially the features like massive machine type communication, ultra reliable low latency communication, and all the additional features like high precise positioning I also like to speak about today, they are coming and getting improved over the next releases over the next years. And this is what we have to be aware, that what is available now is not the fully extended 5G you will see in 5 or 6 years. And we also still started to work on 6G. So the future is at least as promising as 5G. If we look at the existing 5G, I think it can be used for many industry. We have projects in the area of healthcare, mission critical projects like first responders, firefighters, and so on. Many projects in the area of industry automation, smart factories. You see it on these very colorful pictures. Tracking of tools, robotics, the tracking of all the assets. many projects are run in the area of building automation, smart cities, agriculture. So it's really a technology which brings in many features for many industries. And this is also an area I'm working in as I want to really collect what needs the market. And it's so promising that in the standardization, many companies bring in their requirements for their market. So the feature list of 5G is increasing, which each release directing more and more in the direction of all these industries and their requirements. This is something I like to present as a study we had made for the German machine builder associations. We have had a deep look in over 38 use cases, 35. It was done 2 years ago, 1 year, beginning of, it's nearly a year, beginning of 2020. And it shows that still with release 15, you see here on the left side, there were many use cases possible to realize. And starting with all the upcoming releases, 16, 17, there were on the wish list of this machine builders, there were some use cases who needed these higher releases. Also some use cases like positioning with centimeter accuracy, where we said, okay, this needs a little bit, at least 18 millimeter wave, perhaps we have to wait also to 6G to have this very high, precise centimeter accurate positioning. But what is also important to know that the most companies currently working on the ideas they still have on their agenda. But I'm sure that with this technology, there will also come up more and more ideas we have not in the focus now, because it needs the technology to create these new ideas. And this is what I think looks very promising for the next years, to see all these new applications coming up. I said I want to talk about the positioning features of 5G, and I think it's not only positioning, is that we have it united. It's one of the technologies, or there are not many technologies, I think at least maximum Wi-Fi, who has both on board, so that you have communication and positioning together with one technology. And the big advantage of 5G compared to Wi-Fi is that it's a mobile communication. So it's really prepared, the devices are mobile, moving fast, and that you still have a very good positioning communication. If you look in the agenda, we have currently with release 16 the 3 meter accuracy on the target for indoor and 10 meter for outdoor. Really interesting, it will become with release 17. So there we have 1 meter accuracy on the agenda for indoor and 20 centimeters for IoT use cases. This depends as a special installation, so a little bit, we say, denser deployment of the antennas, but still it's possible to have this 20 centimeter accuracy, which is really user very good, can be used in all the asset tracking, production process, controlling, and so on. And what's also very nice that with release 18, we also started to discuss low power positioning, so that you really can run IoT devices for months, perhaps also sometimes for years, with adding energy harvesting applications. So very clear roadmap, very promising for the industry regarding the positioning. And if we then, this is a simplified look on a manufacturing, and yes, I know, but it shows that if you have 5G running in your industry, you really can start from tracking your assets and goods from the warehouse up to during the logistic process to the production, on site at the production, really to track your tools, track the goods, track your products. And this is what we're working on with many more projects. And this is very interesting to see how the production is changing if you have the possibility of positioning and communication available. And yeah, all the sensors you can connect to 5G and have more and more detailed information about the production process. I can talk about this picture 20 minutes, so I have to go on. I want to give you a little view about the German situation, because I'm from Germany. At the moment, we have a special feature inside 5G. We have reserved frequency bands for non-public networks. It's 100 megahertz bandwidth, and currently we have over 150 companies using this licensed band with 100 megahertz, and this is very promising. Also, if you see that nearly 30% of are still industry, or no, it's more. It's users. Over 45% still is industry using this non-public networks. And this is also a nice picture showing the situation. So you see many factories, especially in the automotive area, using 5G to improve their production. It's really promising. All they are visiting, it's really that they see a big difference before they used 5G and after they used 5G, because there's a great improvement going on. We ourselves are also running a test bed, because I think there's nothing better than testing. So currently it's not possible to visit it, but if Corona is a hope done next year, it's possible to be in this installation. And some words about this installation, because I think it's worldwide one of the biggest open RAN standalone installation. So it's completely 5G. It's over 50 different radio units, from small cells up to MIMO antennas. We have Wi-Fi, ultra wideband there. So it's really indoor, outdoor, industrial area. And this is, we are a research institute, and we are really like this testbed, because it really gives the possibility from its size and its technology to test the most interesting use cases you can think about. So give me the chance to show this for at least one slide. It's a very promising installation that we really can start testing next year if Corona is done and it's open. What I also like to show you is what means positioning within 5G. This is a live tracking. You see here the HEV in our test bed, and this is the live tracking with 5G signals. Uplink TDOA, it's based on release 15 signals with this 100 megahertz bandwidth, and we're still reaching accuracy of better than 50 centimeters, sometimes around 20, 30 centimeters. It's using our own algorithms, and we're working on to have the standard conform. So you see, this is not only on the agenda of the 3GPP, so really 5G has the capability to do a very high accurate positioning of moving objects like HEVs. So this is the end of my presentation. I think I'm into 10 minutes, and I also hope I give you some interesting view on the positioning and on the industry part of 5G. Thank you. You're muted.
Excellent, Karin. Thank you so much. I would love to visit your facility one day if I got an opportunity. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So now moving on to the next speaker, I would like to introduce Jose Costa Requena from Helsinki, Finland, to present on 5G private networks.
Hello, let me share. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me move. All right, so is it visible the full screen or
no?
No? Okay. Let's try it now. See now? Okay, let's I would like to introduce, what are the key benefits, or let's say the sort of challenges that the non-public networks are bringing as part of the 5G. So Kumukor is an SME. We are located in Finland, besides Nokia offices and Ericsson. So we have a good cooperation with them, and we focus mainly on building the packet core. Mainly targeted for this private network. So we understand that the private networks, they need a very sort of dedicated packet core compared to the packet core that is used normally in public networks by the mobile operators. So first, what are the benefits? Why the need of this private network? So in the past, Wi-Fi has been a good wireless technology and still remains a good wireless technology, but it has some issues. So basically, in terms of congestion, in terms of reliability and so on. So when using this wireless technology in industrial, there's some cost associated. So based on some studies, they have evaluated what is the cost of having a Wi-Fi network down for 1 hour. So depending on the industry, we can see that it can go up to 5 to 7 kilo euros per hour, depending whether it's a sawmill, whether it's a paper mill, or even if it's in the airport. So where the cost of having the system down can be up to 600 kilo euros. So in that sense, the private network 5G has contributed with a dedicated or a radio technology that is more reliable. It has it's been adopted or can be adopted by different verticals. It's not anymore like private consumer data, but it can be focused in different verticals like industry, mining, construction, or agriculture. So in these verticals, why this private network is bringing some added value. So first of all, it has their own frequency license, whether it's assigned by the operator, leased from the operator, or the government is assigning a small spectrum for the private usage. Then the most important thing is the full control of the parameters that are used in the network. So basically, having this dedicated network, the customer is not anymore the consumer, but is the industrial customer. Then they can control who has access to the network, and mainly what are the quality of service parameters that will be assigned in the network. So basically, they can decide whether they want to have a higher uplink or than downlink, because one of the things is that the public networks, they have a higher downlink because it's mainly for consumer data. But then in case of industry, there's higher need for uplink capacity because the machines are pushing data to the processing, to the services, to the applications, and so on. So in that sense, all this fine-tuning of the network can be done if the network is fully dedicated, fully configured by the customer for the industrial usage. So then the network, or at least the packet core, which is our specialty, needs to have a set of functionality that is not needed in commercial networks. It's not needed in public network. So one of these functionalities is the 5G LAN, which consists of building a private network within the mobile network. So that means that with this 5G LAN, devices can be grouped, and then they can talk to each other as if they were physically in the same local area network. So this is one feature that we have included in the packet core, and it's quite important for this non-public network. So basically, having the devices that they connect, and then the traffic is restricted to between those devices. So in terms of industrial scenarios, there are some concept of security zones within industry, which means that some devices are allowed to access those zones, or then they can be connected within that zone, but then they cannot access other parts of the network, so other security areas. Then the other feature that it requires also support both in the device, radio, and the core is the time-sensitive network. So basically, one of the sort of main constraints of industrial networks is to have a very accurate time synchronization. So then devices, they can communicate within a given time slot. So basically, to ensure the high reliability or the high availability of the communications between those devices. So then this kind of time synchronization is required, as well as support for these deterministic communications, meaning that there would be devices in the fixed network that then they have a predefined time slot to be communicating with other devices on the wireless, on the mobile side of the network. So this kind of integration is required in order to build a fully industrialized type of mobile network. And then the most important thing is that these private networks do not, or let's say, they should be easy to deploy and manage. So basically, now we are bringing a very complex technology into an area where the expertise is, it's on the operational technology, on the industrial technology, not on the mobile technology. So in that sense, it's not as easy as bringing the technology, 5G technology, and then deploying that in the industrial factory. But then it also requires an easy to use, different graphical interface. So basically, the public networks, they don't have, they have a large set of charging and billing, which is not needed in the private networks. So there are some differences that then need to be adapted if this kind of private networks needs to be managed by people that do not have the mobile expertise. And then the system can be deployed in different flavors. So basically, the mobile operator can still provide the radio, and then the factory might have its own installation, or then the whole installation is completely isolated. So this brings a bit of challenges into the normal business model. So in the past, the mobile operator is the one that manages the whole network. Now it might be that the vendor, the industrial vendor, is the one that can deliver the whole thing directly to the consumer, in this case, the industrial partner. Or it might be a third party that is a new stakeholder that is not neither the mobile operator nor the industrial party. And then they can also provide the whole system and operate that system as a private network for the industrial consumer. So that means that with these private networks and the 5G, there are new roles. So basically now we have the private network owner, which it's not anymore the mobile operator, but it can be the industrial owner, the factory owner. But then we have the spectrum owner, which can be the sort of mobile operator, or in some parts of, in some countries, the government has reserved a part of the spectrum. So then the private network owner can also own the spectrum. But now it's a different. Before, it was only the mobile operator. But then we also have the integrator. So the integrator is the one that can do the deployment and then can deliver that to the factory. And finally, we have the operator, which can be any of those. It can be the owner, or it can be a third party that then is operating the network for the industrial partner. So in that sense, we see that there are new business models. So the status quo of in the past of the mobile operator is changing. So basically, the mobile network operator can have a passive role, meaning that, okay, now the mobile operator continues providing the service to the consumers. I mean, owning the spectrum, owning the network, and then providing that to the as before. But then it could be that the mobile operator can have an active role, meaning that then the operator can offer a new package to the new customers. In this case, it's not the consumer, normal consumer, but it's the industrial entity as in the customer. So in this case, the mobile network operator could then take an important role and then have the expertise and then can provide the system to the industrial council. So what we see is that this private networks is growing. There are a lot of new opportunities, and then there is the sort of previous role of the public operator and the vendor delivering the system is moving. Now we see that the cloud providers, I mean, Amazon, we have seen recently that it's providing private networks. So this kind of area is now changing. So we will see a new stakeholders, and then we'll see whether the operator remains as a consumer pipe, or it will take a bit more active role. So what we can see from the reports is that the industry is planning to deploy its own local private network. But then the thing is that is the mobile operator going to address those needs, or it will remain as before, like a mobile network operator towards consumers, or will the operator then take a bit more active and then create a new package that is offered to the industrial partners? So in concluding, I would like to highlight that there are new roles that are disrupting these business models. And then we will see whether the cloud providers will take a bit of a stake from the public mobile operators, or the mobile network operators, then they have the expertise, then they can take a bit more challenging approach and then deliver the new system to the industry. So in that sense, we see there are new stakeholders that are entering this market, and it's a bit unclear who's going to take the lead on this. So I think that that's what I would like to summarize.
Awesome, Jose Costa. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Moving on to the next speaker, let me introduce Francois Duquesne from Copenhagen, Denmark, to present on 5G private networks.
Thank you. Just let me share the screen. Do you see the presentation now?
Yes, sir.
Good. So let's get started. So first, just would like to basically, what is a private network? I think you all know it here on this forum, but I normally start, you all have a Wi-Fi at home. So it's already your own private network. It has all the basic functionalities that you want to do. You connect your phone, you connect your computer, you connect all of this, but Wi-Fi has some limitation. And maybe a lot of you at home have experienced it when lockdown came. You all at home, all want to use Zoom, Teams, and everything, and Wi-Fi is not a reliable technology. And I think Jose, just before me, has highlighted it. It has a lot of cost in a lot of different industry. And this is not actually the technology suitable for a lot of different services. It can be mission critical, industry 4.0, healthcare, mining, etc. And then if we look at now the private cellular network and the private 5G. Today, it can provide the quality of service and the reliability which is required for actually a lot of different use cases. And here, if we look in terms of some of the KPI that were indicated, 10 of gigabits of second, a lot of, let's say, latency between 1 and 10 milliseconds, a lot of connectivity, let's say, million of devices to be connected, battery life as well. There has been some specific feature in the 5G to have battery life up to 10 years. I know some in the 4G, like Narrowband IoT and things already been there. Very high availability. So actually, 5G has been designed in a way and has a lot of functionalities that suit a lot of different use cases which are required for the enterprise, for a lot of different use cases. On those different use cases, yes, some could be done with 4G already there. Some could be done with Wi-Fi as well. That is true. And the thing is mainly as well, not only 5G, but as how everything can be put together as well in a network, and to have the best decision which technology is best for which use cases, or which mix of technology can suit different use cases. Additionally to that, in terms of the private networks, there is different. The public network are still there, and they're not going anywhere, and there is still need to have some interaction in between the public and the private network. In some of the cases, it can be directly case one, dedicated spectrum. You have your own network, you're there, you're totally isolated. It can be very good. It's a null platform, a remote community, other things that need to be totally dependent. In that case, if you want to have some mix in between the two different devices, if you want to move, for example, yourself, you want to have your own connectivity when you're in the enterprise, but you want as well connectivity outside of the enterprise. I don't know, you have some fleet management that need to go in and out of your solution. Here, you need to have maybe some roaming use cases. Mobile network operator, they want to take benefit as well sometime in having the spectrum, in owning the spectrum. And in some of the cases, they say, okay, let's say provide you a private network there, but I still want to get control of, let's say, the radio inside your enterprise. I still want to have guests to be able to allow this to enter the enterprise. And in that case, they can have a shared, let's say, radio share infrastructure together with the enterprise solution. And in this case, they use this feature called the MOCN capabilities. And they can use a direct slice to make sure that the traffic is not disturb the public versus the private traffic there. And the last cases is, I would say, just to providing a slice from the public network. And in that case, here it's really depending on the connectivity. If you don't have any connectivity back, or if you share something, there this case is actually you don't really own on the control of your case is not really, this is the most appropriate one. That's actually how to share with the public network. But now as well, in each case, there is how to deploy those network. The first deployment model is actually what we call the network in a box. You just go to the enterprise, you just put a box, you put your core, your radio, both user plane, control plane. You even put all the application, all the services that are required, and you can just deliver a box which suits the different services. In this type of deployment model, you don't need any connectivity, or you may have a very limited one or once in a while there, but it's not depending on the backhaul connectivity. Here you have really a best isolation, the best privacy, because some of the important elements for the enterprise is actually the privacy and the security of the data there. The second deployment model can say, okay, but I don't need all of that in the site. I can just get actually all my user plane capability, my radio solution, and all my services which remain on site. It still provides a very low latency, let's say, required by the application on site. It still does not require actually to send all the data back to the core network solution. If you do some IoT, you may collect a lot of data, which actually you need just to store in some solution, maybe just some average, some mean, or let's say some meaningful information. You don't need all the raw data to do that. Here, the data still remain on site. So you still have all the security and the privacy which are required, but which allow to have the control plane more centrally, especially if you are multi-site, if you operate multiple location, you operate multi-harbor port, multiple airport, multiple enterprise, multiple production facilities on which you can share and actually in a global and central location, your database in terms of SIMs, in terms of, let's say, control policy, all the solutions there. In this case, this is as well some of the case where MNOs or let's say CSP are looking into it because they can still keep the control plane, I will say, centrally and have some different user plane only there. The last deployment is actually what you call on-net type of solution, but it is more into the enterprise to just to provide a slice of the public network. And especially with 5G SA now, you have this capability to have end-to-end slicing. I know in the core it is there, in the transport is coming, in the radio with the RIC and everything, things are moving and it's able to provide complete end-to-end solution in terms of those solution there. On all of it, we'll say it's 5G, but today there is still some enterprise which have a lot of 4G technology. Why not put something which is combo 4G and 5G all together? There is still some Wi-Fi which are out there. And I think it was Karen highlighting that Wi-Fi is still there as part of the solution. And Wi-Fi can be integrated together to the solution in terms of a converged core, fixed, and mobile solution there. Then actually, before it reaches you in terms of the price net, what does it take for a provider there? At the end of the day, end customers, they just want a single point of contact. They want someone to be able to design and install it, to be able to support and maintain their own solution. In the enterprise, they have IT people. They don't have telecom people. They don't know anything about 5G. I spoke myself with some enterprise customer. They just care about the services that the connected car have the right latency and have the right information on time. That it's 4G, 5G, or where the antenna, they don't really care. They want a single point of contact to do that. Then they want to be able to scale as well. because maybe one enterprise, two enterprise have more service, more device coming in, more use case coming there. So solution need as well to be designed for peak workload, to be telco grade, and as well to have a high, let's say, a good TCO. We see today that the TCO has been, let's say, a break for many enterprises in order to get the go in moving to that direction. But then before it reach out to you, so all these different type of use cases have some different services, different application, different use cases that need to serve them. All those cases, they need to be, let's say, managed by some telco network function. All this UPF, SMF, all the network telecommunication function. Those telecommunication function need to rely on, let's say, on a platform. And actually, this is the overall engine. Let's say all the network function and the platform on which is rely. This is something that need to be, I will say, telco grade, mature there. Every time there is a new software release, the new network function, the new services need to work on the same platform. This is really the engine on the base of the overall solution. On all of this, there is other network function. You need push to talk, you need voice, you need whatever solution which is coming there. And all of this need to rely either, let's say, on a physical hardware, or it can be put in the cloud there in Azure, Google, and I think Jose mentioned AWS now moving to the private network solution as well. And then all of it need to be orchestrated because I will say all the automation, all the, let's say, management of those services, the telco function, the platform, all of it together need to have the overall solution. And then all of this need to be designed, implemented, integrated, and supported. And as you can see, there is really a lot of players in this market. And really one of the key points I want to highlight here, this is actually the collaboration between the different, I will say, party, the different actors in this market segment. It's not one person that can do it all. There is too many, I will say, elements in the chain, and it really required a lot of collaboration between the hardware manufacturers, the Google, the platforms, the telecom suppliers, the orchestration, the services, the global suppliers. And it's really, let's say, a huge space and a huge ecosystem without speaking about the device, actually. And just to move there is huge device and need to be managed. And all of this management, there is management of the enterprise. I think it was highlighted, the enterprise, they don't need to do a lot of things. They just need to have single dashboard to see what they do. But one of the things they need to do is to provision their SIM card, to have a lot of activities like that. And then they need to be a NOC maybe somewhere by the provider of this network or by the system integrator or by the MNO, which is able to manage regarding the alarm and able to intervene and provide the right support in the right time. Highlighting as well a couple of things, it's require the more blueprint and the more integration things are, actually the better it will for the support, for the deployment, and for everything. And here, that's why actually it's good to have some, I would say, partnership. I just highlighted before, and here together with Casa, we have make a partnership together with Lenovo for the hardware platform solution, but as well with Nearby Computing, which is providing the zero-touch provisioning and the complete automation of the solution. And here, this blueprint in one single server, you have all the network function from the telecom. You can put a lot of different use cases, and everything is orchestrated and managed. And here, just let's say this small video, I will not have time, let's say within right now, but within 5 minutes, the complete core network is deployed. Okay, and this is actually what is needed. If someone is going on site to install some radio, to install some server, you don't need to stay there for a week in order to make all the complete installation. And here it's 5 minutes, but I will say, if you say if it's 1 hour because there is some configuration, some cabling and other things, then everything is okay. It's not a week job, it is a day job. Highlighting as well the cloud, because we speak everything in a box in one side, but in the other side, everything can be put in the cloud. And we can see AWS moving to the cloud. But what I want to highlight with this slide is that we can provide, I will say, very low latency still within the cloud. And we have been, let's say, working, let's say, with Stadia, which is a gaming solution, to show that deployment locally at the, let's say, point of presence, the local end point of presence, we could reach some 10 millisecond application to the end user. And delivering dynamically, let's say the user plane on site close to the, let's say the end user can have this type of application. And here we see some type of Netflix for gaming, where you deploy directly real time the game close to the end user to have this very low latency solution. Other, let's say, very quick example regarding what is needed in terms of the enterprise, this is a self-healing. Because what if something is going wrong? Okay, and here it's as well another thing regarding the importance of having the orchestration and the management of the solution. And in that case, you know, we just saw one slice with the robot communicating, and then suddenly we just tested, okay, what if we put a lot of traffic and disturb this quality of service? And then automatically the system of self-healing, creating a new slice and move the traffic to that slice. And then after let's say a couple of minutes, everything was totally recovered. And that's the case we did together with Orange in France on this one. And then so just to finish on my presentation, the core network is one thing, but the radio is actually the very important element there. It has been highlighted as well, I think it was José saying, in the enterprise, there is much more uplink than downlink. You have video camera feeding up things. The robot need to send some information there. So it has to have a network, a radio network that match actually the need of the enterprise's solution. And just to highlight, today in Casa, we are, let's say, doing solution both indoor and outdoor to match this type of network. It's not macro network type of solution, but this is solution which is designed to be in the enterprise, in indoor and in the outdoor, which have the right connectivity, because it's not, you cannot, like in an ORAN solution, you need a fiber all over the place, but some of the radio may need the fiber, some of that may not need the fiber. And as well, you need to have the right band, and maybe you need to have the 4G as well. And why having two different type of access points if you need both the 4G and the 5G solution there. So you need to have the core network supporting it, but you need to have the RAN which support that as well. And as Casa, we are, I will say, end-to-end provider, both the core and the RAN solution. So you have one management system, one solution, and one partner for doing that. And I think I will stop here in my presentation because I think I'm just over time.
Thank you, Francois. Awesome. That was very detailed explanation, very impressive. Thank you so much. Moving on to the next speaker, let me introduce Professor Romeo Giuliano from Rome, Italy, to present on Forward URLLC Internet, New Services and Applications in Network 2030.
Thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
And can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So thank you for your invitation, Ganesh. As introduced by Ganesh, my name is Romeo Giuliano, and I will talk about how to move forward to the ultra low latency internet, so new services and application in the network of 2030. So this is the highlights of my introduction, but let's move forward to the slide. So in this slide, I just remind you the main steps of the internet. So from the beginning, we in 90s, the first internet connected together personal computers in all the world. So this is the internet. In 2005, all mobiles have been connected, and we had the mobile internet. Now we are moving forward. So in the next year, all sensors and actuators will be connected. So we are going to implement the Internet of Things, or someone calls the Internet of Everythings, join together people, data, things, and processes. But what in the next 20 years, hopefully earlier, what is the direction? So in the previous cellular systems, we implemented first of all basic services. So the first one was the coverage and mobility of the users. So this has been provided by first G and second G and 2G. Then the technologies move forward in 3G, 3.5G and 4G, providing broadband access and massive medium access. Then in 5G, we implemented the enhanced multi-broadband and the beginning of ultra reliable and low latency communications. Now, what is in the forthcoming network, maybe in the 6G? First of all, we have to implement precise communications. It means that packets should arrive within a given time threshold or within a given boundary in time, so within an interval. The third service, the basic service that should be implemented by the precise communication service is to have a coordinated arrival. It means that packets should arrive with a specific order within a given time interval. This is the coordinated guarantees. Another service, another basic service that should be guaranteed is the coordinative communication. It means that we need to treat in a qualitative way the packets. It means not just to prioritize, but also to eliminate some chunks of packets in order to assure the forwarding within a specific time. So we can erase some chunks in a packet, and this is the qualitative communications. Another important aspect or basic service that should be guaranteed in the forthcoming network is the reconfigurability very fast, because we are going to deploy several access point base station in several architecture worldwide. So we need the fast reconfigurability of the access for the users. Starting from basic service, it is envisaged in the next forthcoming networks to join together some of them in order to provide composite services. So maybe the most important is the holographic type communications that is related to have in a single place several forthcoming flows. Also giving back a haptic feedback, so it is two-way communications, and it is very data rate consuming, let's say, because we need to we need 6 degrees of freedom, so we have to control the 6 movement of the head, so back and forward, so 3 axes and 3 rolling axes. The next composite service is to provide the multisensorial communications, so not only audio and video, but also smell, touch, and taste, and this can be provided by actuators, by local actuators. Moving on, we need to provide emergency communications service that is related to the reconfigurability, as I said before, of the access network. You can see by the picture above the many opportunities of the telecommunication infrastructure, but also we need to provide a positioning, for example, in the emergency communications. The fourth one is the collaborative robots or cobots, that in this case we need extreme synchronization on many local machines. So let's go in deeper detail within the ultra low latency internet. We have only human activities, for example, painting and drawing the system chapels, but we have also only machine activities, so transporting, so cleaning, transporting heavy weights, but also the most important will be joint human machine activities. In this case, we have humans, equipments, a network, local sensor actuators, and artificial intelligence that should cooperate. So someone calls this as Internet of Skills, but in these joint human machine activities, we have a human plus equipment, for example, exoskeleton, human mounted display, that that can be used for extending human skills, so such as this picture. Another case is to carry skills remotely. So, for example, the telesurgery or the driving a plane remotely. But also, we can envisage it to have an interaction between human equipment, local sensors, and remote knowledge. And in this case, the network is going to extend the skills of the human in future scenarios, such as the assisted driving in particular condition, in particular weather condition, for example, or in particular environment. So in a road, in a country road, for example, or in particular weather conditions. So the network, the forthcoming network, we can say there's the knowledge to assist us during some actions. Before concluding my presentation, I'm just providing you the most important application that should be provided by the composite services. So industrial automation, that is the pillar of Industry 4.0, digital health, that is going to reduce, is going to provide, to extend the services of health worldwide, automotive, sorry, and transport, so for people, but also for freights, like this. Gaming entertainment as also, for example, we can have a 2D tapis roulant and carpets to have a touch feedback. And education. We can envisage that during the lesson of a professor, a neural network provides the speech recognition, and from the text, there is a knowledge graph that can, a name entity that provide that as input in a knowledge graph in order to provide for, more than one links on in order to enrich, let's say, the lesson of the teacher. So just to conclude, starting from the basic service, we can define composite services holographic type communication, multisensorial communication, emergency, and collaborative robots. And from this, we can implement the basic applications, and from them, specific application. Of course, we have just examples of them. So this, to conclude my presentation, these are the references. I took some of the topics of this presentation from the last my paper that has been awarded by the conference I presented. And okay, thank you for your attention.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Professor. I appreciate that. So moving on to the next speaker, I would like to introduce Rich Watson from Da Nang City, Vietnam, to present on the augmented reality marketing.
Hello, thank you very much for the invite. Yeah, so first I'd like to say that I'm originally from the UK, but I now live in Da Nang, Vietnam. So just in case you're seeing the Vietnam flag and you're thinking, is that guy born in Vietnam? Then no, I'm actually from England, but lived here for 5 years now. So I sort of feel like I'm a local, maybe a little bit. So yeah, basically today I'd like to talk about, augmented reality in marketing, and really like with the emergence now of, 5G and everything, all the social platforms are going to, adopt it a lot more. The sort of paid marketing aspect of, those platforms is going to evolve. And one of those places where it's going to evolve is the immersive technologies. So let me just quickly share my screen and I'll give you guys some examples. So yeah, my name is Rich Watson. I'm the founder of Augmented Hype. So we basically help agencies and brands with augmented reality ads. And I'm basically wanting to talk about augmented reality in marketing, specifically for Facebook and Instagram, but there are other platforms on it as well. So yeah, more than 80% of paid traffic now within the Facebook and Instagram platform tends to be mobile. And that, of course, is a mix between 4G and Wi-Fi as well. But with the emergence of 5G, we're sort of potentially expecting that to increase a little bit. And of course, that means that the data will be there'll be such a bigger capacity of data to be able to actually enable advertising to take up more of people's headspace in a different, more aesthetic way. So yeah, first of all, I just wanted to state what augmented reality is and what virtual reality are, because the two do tend to get quite confused quite all the time, and it's quite obvious why, because they are very similar. So augmented reality really is when something, where the computer or the laptop or phone is enhancing your physical space. So it's basically augmenting your actual reality, whereas virtual reality is you're going into the space. So there's a big distinction, and I'm sure most people knew that here, but I thought better to sort of explain that sort of things. And then of course the first question is what is augmented reality ads? What are they? And I've got an example here. So this is actually Snapchat and Nike are working together. And this gives you a really good example of, potentially how brands could adopt it in the very, very near future. So I'll just let the video play. So there we are. So it gives you a little snapshot of potentially how it could, start playing it again, of how things could be, adopted by the brands. And there's a really good example of, how Nike is just going ahead of the game. I can't stop accidentally playing this. Let me skip past this bit. Okay, here we go. So we really want to dive into, what the actual metrics behind it are, and what we've seen from, because augmented reality ads aren't really a new thing, but they really haven't been adopted that much by a lot of brands. And, the biggest brands and the biggest social platforms have really started to only roll them out within the last couple of years. So there's basically been a census from Snapchat based on how, augmented reality has been working. And here are some of the really key metrics I wanted to share with you. So brands tend to connect better with AR experiences than, without. And that's really just because they're immersed completely within the ad themselves. So it almost doesn't feel like an ad. It feels like, someone's taking you through and taking you to a really good experience, and, having a very lasting impression on you, which is, always been the key in marketing. But I guess a lot of people sort of, a lot of smaller brands and things don't really understand. But, AR is like the perfect example of doing that. And it basically means that brands are actually 30% more likely to be considered if they have an AR experience. And I believe this is going to be the case in the next 2 years when things roll out a lot more. We've seen the emergence of Meta, Facebook changing Meta, the metaverse is being created. There's other platforms already, in the space with metaverse and things like that. And Snapchat and Pinterest and all of these things do have a component of augmented reality. So they're all slowly going to start to move ads onto basically being augmented reality. And this stat down here as well, users are 57% more likely to share a brand's experience with friends and family, because it's something really quite personal most of the time. If it's something that's overlaying your face, it's an aesthetic thing, or it's something that goes onto you, you're much more likely to share it with friends and family. And that sort of compounding effect of that sharing is huge. So that's like a really good example of where our ads are going to kill it next year. So AR interactions drive conversion. This is a really important note. A lot of people who've seen augmented reality ads, it's a really, really good creative for engagement, definitely. Brand awareness, engagement, and just overall reach, getting your name out there as much as possible, getting people familiar with your brand. But the really, really important thing I want to drive home is actually getting conversions. So whether you're selling a product or selling a service, augmented reality ads can be used for actually selling that. It's not just a matter of, using it to get your name out there. So actually people who people who use AR experiences tend to actually have 94% higher conversion rates. And it's almost unbelievable to see that. But comparing conventional creative to augmented reality creative is almost 100% better. Like the results tend to be 100% better. And this is, I'll provide the details of how the study was conducted and stuff after. But, all of the brands that used it basically saw this. So it's absolutely incredible. And then here's someone from Gucci saying, the EVP of Gucci saying that conversion rates that we've seen surprised us. As a result, we're doubling down on AR experiences to drive e-commerce. And actually Gucci are one of the brands who are way ahead of the curve here, because they've actually started to sell, I can't remember what the platform is now. There's a metaverse where they basically, is it Roblox? No, I'm not keeping up to date with what kids are playing now. But anyway, you can basically buy a digital version, basically an NFT of a Gucci bag and things like that. So they're into this space way ahead of anybody else. But yeah, so that just shows you, this other fact down here, users are 37% more likely to purchase products through a brand's website through an AR experience. So this is actually something within the actual website itself. So that's a little different to what we're talking about before with Facebook and Instagram, but you can actually have the augmented reality experience on your website as well. So, that can carry people through to making the purchase decision. A lot of people are using AR to make purchase decisions and plan to keep doing so. And this is really a note on how it's going to be, adopted through the next few years before it sort of takes over a bit like, DVD took over VHS or Netflix took over DVD, things like that. I think this is sort of the next iteration of that. So there are 100 million consumers shopping online with AR online in stores at the moment. And of course, that's had the biggest impact just because obviously COVID, people have been almost like forced to get used to a new way of shopping and a new way of consuming advertising, basically. And it basically has had a really powerful effect on how quickly people have been able to accept this as a new sort of marketing medium. And then 93% of users agree they'll use AR the same or more when shopping next year. So the adoption there is just, once they're used to it, once people understand what it is, it's almost going to desensitize this sort of other advertising in a way. That's sort of how I feel about it. And also the biggest thing is, actually driving a relationship with your customer, and AR connections drive revenue, and they drive that relationship with your consumer. So consumers who've interacted with a brand's AR experience are 26% more likely to share the experience with family and friends, as we stated earlier, and 20% more likely to purchase products from the brand. So that just means basically they become way more trusting of you because they're able to see. And we'll go into an example of an advertisement that I created, where basically we had the ability to let parents try these UV protection sunglasses on their children. And the actual act of trying it on, because it's very difficult at that time within Australia, which is where this brand was, to go to the store and try them out and things like that. So it builds that trust within the AR experience. So users are 90% more likely to use AR to connect with others. That's a really big thing that's happening in AR, sort of within IG and within Snapchat at the moment. Users share AR photos and videos of family and friends, 94% more. So it's just because it's obviously way more, there's a novelty aspect to it, but it's just way more enticing to show people. And so AR captures consumer attention. AR delivers almost 2 times the level of visual attention compared to their non-AR equivalent, leading to improved memories and more powerful responses from consumers. So depending on the objective you've chosen for your marketing campaign, you do see, almost a double down of the actions that they are taking, whether it's reach, whether it's brand awareness, engagement, conversions. You're seeing a very powerful improvement on the creatives you're running before. Users who frequently use AR with their family and friends are 87% more likely to pay attention to a brand. And this really points to how, user-generated content and how these things build social proof, because you're seeing genuine people using this product or using this filter, trying it on, for example. You're so much more likely to want to do it yourself because, you've really got that social proof. So there's quite a lot of other slides in here, but I actually just wanted to jump to the example because I'm pretty conscious of time. But this is the last metric slide I wanted to go over. So AR builds consumer confidence. 46% of users who shop with AR agree that it gives them more confidence about product quality. And this is like a side bonus of it. A lot of the brands that we're working with and ones who've adopted to AR already are seeing less returns because of it, because people are actually having the experience of trying it on. So we work with a lipstick brand, we've worked with a couple of cosmetic brands, we've worked with some accessory brands, and they've all reported recently a lower return rate because of this. People are just so much more trustworthy. They, expect, the thing to look like how it was when they tried it on. And in the case of things like lipstick, you couldn't go into a store and try lipstick on. That just wouldn't be right. You'd get kicked out of the store straight away. So this is almost like another level to what you could actually do in reality. So it's sort of a step over that. And over half of people want to use AR technology to assess products, allowing for a risk-free try before you buy experience. And that's exactly what I'm saying. You're not able to always go to the store and do these things, especially over the last couple of years. So that's why the adoption has been so great. So nearly 3 in 4 consumers, they say, we're willing to pay more for a product that promises total transparency that AR can provide. So you're showing them exactly what it looks like. You're not, a big problem with shopping online, for example, is you get, say, a jumper and you order it, you get it shipped to you and it's like this big. And it's because, there's something wrong with the sizing, or maybe the description wasn't that detailed or something like that. But with this, you can try it on, you can put it on your body, you can put it within your space, and you really know what it's like. And then here about another note about returns. The returns are $550 billion problem, which AR can help fix. And obviously I mentioned that earlier. AR guided purchases led to a 25% decrease in returns. So that's a really huge one. So let's quickly jump to the end. Sorry about the flashing images as I just jumped through all of these slides. But I wanted to show you the example that I mentioned earlier. So this is the case study. So These are sunglasses, UV sunglasses protection for children. And this company's this company is global, but they're based in Australia, the ones we work with. And they came to us with the issue of, okay, how do we solve the problem of people not knowing sort of how it fits, what the styles are, how will it look on my baby, how will it look on my child? We really don't know. It's a very difficult thing to try. And you also don't want to go to the store at that time because they're having lockdowns and things like that. So they basically wanted to come up with a creative that solves that problem. Here's a few of their stats as well. So most people would buy 2 pairs. So that was around 50 to 60 Australian dollars. The cost per acquisition was around 20 to $30 Australian. So, just under half of, the cost of the average order value. They wanted to be more immersive. So it solves these questions before they're coming up. And it creates more user-generated content, basically. They wanted a way of showing people that people are using these products, that people are using the, putting it on their children, and it's got more social proof. So this is basically what we created. You can see on the right there, this is the initial video to show you the example. And as you click into it, it goes into the actual ad. And there's a picture of me with my my tank top on wearing it. But as you can see, there's 4 different styles of glasses, and it'll jump back to it in a second, where it's basically overlaying you. So the idea with this, this one specifically was you can either do on the front camera or the back camera holding your baby and basically try them on and sort of see how they look. And then what you can also do is tap on one of them and it goes into full screen. So you can really get the impression of how it fits, how it looks, what sort of style you prefer, things like that. So the ad had a very clear, easy access instruction of use, and also it was a really good way of getting UGC, because this example of the baby, that is user-generated content. We got that from one of the people to use within the ad itself. And it also just allowed customers to try on 4 different pairs at once. So, it was just an amazing result. So one of the biggest takeaways from this is that the click-through rate of the ad itself to try them on was 58% more than it was the other creatives. And I showed you one of the other creatives before. It's a really cute baby with sunglasses on, so it's pretty hard to beat, right? But just the ability of being able to actually try it on made people want to engage more, right? So that was incredible. The other incredible part of this was a 50% increase on average order value. So I mentioned in the first slide about $50 to $60, and it ended up being almost $85 to $90. And that's because people were able to try on 4 pairs at once. And then they thought, okay, cool, these all look good. Let's buy 3, let's buy 4. So I actually increased the average order value, which is awesome as well. And the 44% higher return on ad spend was a consequence of all of that. So basically, they were putting $1 in and they were getting $6 out for every dollar ad spent. So it was absolutely incredible. I'm not sure how much time left I have, but I have a couple more examples. But have we still got time?
Maybe we have a few minutes more, no problem.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because I'm just saying I could just talk about this forever, so I'm hoping I'm not running over someone else's time. So there's a couple other examples here I'd like to go through that have similar results as well. So this is a lipstick brand. So you've got the example there of, this is what it looks like. You click into the experience, and then you're able to go through a carousel of different shades. And the quality of the actual, the filter and how it looks is very, very similar to how it looks when you actually get the lipstick. So these guys, this is a brand called WeMakeUp.it, so it's the Italian one. And they saw way less returns than they used to have, because people were able to see, this is what it looks like. And they also would buy multiple shades because they tried a few on. Maybe they tried a few on that they wouldn't normally try on, or they didn't think that shade fit them. But because the experience gave them the opportunity, they did, and they had a really good experience of it. So they ended up buying more. And here's something from the actual co-founder as well. He was saying, we've always dreamt about testing experiences like augmented reality on our ads and offering our customers a new, truly immersive experience. Resulting engagement showed us that this is the right direction for the brand. Our future will be increasing linked personalization and technologically advanced tools like Facebook's augmented reality ads. So they're a very early adopter to this, and they had a very good result from it. So that's a really good sign. And this last one is right here in Vietnam. a company called Flair, and they did a very similar filter where you basically try two different things on at once. So you try a lipstick on and you try sunglasses on, and it's to get the shade with the shades, these multiple different products at a time and seeing how they both do. And again, had a really good 10% increase in view content. So 10% more people actually went to the product pages, 19% actually added to cart from this particular campaign. And then that meant a 7% increase in online purchases compared to the previous campaign. So, there's a pretty big increase in conversions. And then there's a really lovely note from the founder here about, sorry, my voice is running out. But yeah, so I think overall, if I had to summarize, I believe that, things are going to move this way more and sort of leave the old advertising world behind as well, in a way of just trying to be fully transparent, building a really good relationship with customers. Thanks very much for your attention, guys.
Very impressive. Thank you so much, Rich Watson. I appreciate that. And the last speaker, I would like to introduce Sergei Grigoriou from Switzerland to present on the blockchain data storage for 5G and IoT integration. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kanish, for the invitation. I am Sergey, Head of Business Development at Ambrosos, and we will talk about blockchain adoption for IoT devices leveraging the 5G technology. Well, so at Ambrosos, we have a blockchain-based ecosystem optimized for IoT data transactions. We are working more than 4 years from now, and we understand the pains that come with current methods of IoT data storage, verification, and use. This makes us uniquely placed to provide solutions that offer transparency, fault resistance, enhanced security, greater traceability, and low transaction costs when it comes to storing the data on our blockchains. Well, 5G technology drastically increased the amount of data that the average person consumes from anywhere in the world. While this undoubtedly has many benefits, the need to organize and share this data so that it can be used to its full potential presents a problem that blockchain solutions can solve. At Ambrosos, we have created the unique data transmission system so that any company, entrepreneur, or even private person can establish a node to store and share any valuable data within our blockchain ecosystem. And now we see the situation on the market where businesses need a complete solution for cost reduction and business process automation. So we are talking about convergent services where 5G is about data transmission and Ambrosos blockchain is about data storage. Ambrosos is a platform to utilize the innovative potential of 5G networks as a means of ensuring end-to-end blockchain and IoT device connectivity, and as a platform for providing more accessible and quality amounts of information about any valuable transmitted data. Due to our dual nature of ecosystem, both open source and private permissioned, Ambrosos is providing companies the opportunity to digitize their processes and specific high-value industries as a service. At the center of this opportunity is the need to instantaneous connectivity in order to uphold the service level agreements. With 5G networks, Ambrosos ecosystem is capable of scaling to much larger capacities in terms of the speed, storage, and quality of data that is uploaded on the blockchain. When scaled to an entire supply chain, 5G levels of mobile connectivity allow smart devices, machine learning, and artificial intelligence to constantly communicate, react, and make predictions based upon the frequency of the data being transmitted. So from a business perspective, Ambroso's innovative and easy to use capabilities allow companies to offer a distributed Internet of Things platform as a service. As we all know, blockchain is a digital notary, and we can the data stored on Ambroso's blockchain is immutable once it is stored, meaning we can leverage verifiably correct and actionable data in almost every vertical. So we concentrate on business process automation, allowing business to reduce operational costs and avoid critical situations in advance. By storing and sharing important information about product or service in a mutable manner, we help companies to raise their profiles in new markets, as well as to create the environment of trust between all parties involved. At present, Ambrosos has an international team of partners from different verticals: IoT, healthcare, supply chain, smart cities, and retail. And we are open for the partnerships with 5G operators, as well as for consulting with businesses who are looking for data solutions. That's it from my side, gentlemen. Thank you.
That was very quick and fast, Sergey. Well, that's good. Okay, I mean, let's have a quick 10 minutes Q&A. Anyone can able to ask from any of the speakers, just for clarity or anything you want to know more further. Maybe I can start first. Since Sergey, you have completed very quick, I would love to understand more on the blockchain part. I have 3 questions here. Number 1 is, why do you see blockchain solutions as essential when looking at 5G and IoT? That's number 1. And number 2 is, there are many blockchain projects. Why should business choose Ambrosos, right? And thirdly, have you had any new partnership recently?
Oh, thank you very much for these questions, Kanish. So regarding to first question about 5G and IoT. Well as being the most advanced iteration of internet connectivity, 5G is said to be as the center of increasing array of smart devices. Currently estimated about 31 billion, roughly 5 per person on the planet. Of course, to get the most out of these devices, the effective storage and organization of this data is required. That is why our blockchain technology comes in, allowing owners and stakeholders to use this verified data to provide organizational efficiency, increase brand trust, or update IoT devices to better serve their users. So the second question about why Ambrosos. Yes. So Ambrosos architecture is optimized for IoT data storage. The ability to bundle our assets and events from IoT devices for uploading to private or public blockchains is both easy and cost-effective. What's more, we have extremely fast transaction speeds and very low costs for sending this data. Lastly, we are completely decentralized with more than 600 nodes all over the world, and we have incentivizing models, so any person or company can establish their node and have the incentivization in our native token called Ember. So we are listed on different exchanges such as Binance and KuCoin and many others. And the third question about recent partnerships. So recently we have teamed with Swiss Wine Industry Association, and using Ambrosos ecosystem, we will be able to verify each individual bottle produced, tracking them from production and through the supply chain all the way to the retailer. All data relate to the Ambrosos blockchain results in real-time supply chain traceability. And for the retail and customer, they will know that they are getting a product that is verified to be exactly as advertised on the label. They can even look it up for themselves via QR codes printed on each individual bottle. So that's it.
Thank you, Sergey. Thank you so much. Anyone else have any questions from any of the speakers? There was one slide that Karin was presenting in terms of the 5G applications for machines and plant engineering, where the release 17 supposedly to be released somewhere above 2023. And well, that is long way to go, right? Because I think in 3GPP, there was they were stated that they are trying to finalize by end of this month for release 18. And so I was wondering any particular reason why it takes so long?
Yeah, every time I have to decide before. The first is the SA1 who is doing the release work. So if SA1 has closed the work for release 18 the last 2 weeks. So this is SA1. Now working on the release 17 is the RAN. So the RAN group, we have 3 groups: SA group, CT group, RAN group. And up to the release is decided by the CTG, we need at least 1 or 1.5 years that is commercially available. So there is really a time frame before CTG is starting to work on a release, that the release is decided, and then it's commercially available. And therefore, I put this 2023, and I think with Corona, we can add perhaps half a year to this date. So it's really, you really have in mind, 1.5 years takes the standardization process in CGPP, and then you have additional 1 or 1.5 year for the commercialization. So there's a project is available on the market. Yeah, with this release.
Awesome. I think the commercial availability also is very much involves in the devices readiness as well, right? Because when it comes to the 5G private network or network slicing or fixed wireless access, even for the the high spectrum for 28 gigahertz, the devices are still not there yet, right? So a lot of trials has been going on here and there. Manufacturing plants have automobile have done a lot of trials, but there is no end-to-end commercial availability. So I think it takes some time in terms of the readiness of devices.
Yes, so we have an increasing number of devices, but like you said, it every time also takes a time to have especially industrial end devices available.
Yeah.
But you mentioned something regarding millimeter wave, if I may add to that, because it's true that millimeter wave will be the right frequency band for a private network because it's very wide. So it's really allowed, I will say, huge amount of data to be transferred. But today, if you look at the chipset market regarding the millimeter wave, especially from Qualcomm, they all need the L.I.N.K band in 4G for the moment. And the new chipset that they just announced, it's actually a chipset which is both millimeter wave and sub-6. So it requires the sub-6 for the L.I.N.K. So all the signalization will go to the sub-6, which means for private network, you need 2 frequency bands. You need 26, 28 gigahertz for the millimeter wave, but you need as well a sub-6 for the signalization. And with all the enterprise we've been speaking to, they just need one. They just need the millimeter wave. They don't need any 4G or any sub-6 band as an anchor technology. And the reason they put this anchor technology, this is for macro, this is for outdoor coverage, because as soon as it's raining, you lose the millimeter wave signalization. But when it's in indoor environment, you don't have those constraints and those conditions there. And this is something we've seen from the market because it's allow really this high bandwidth solution for the indoor solution for the private. Yeah. Sorry, that was just my input here.
I mean, this is quite interesting, right? Because when it comes to 5G private networks, okay, there's a lot of hype. I would say Germany has taken the lead when it comes to the 5G private network, I mean, can able to see how, what Karim presented, 148 plus licenses that was given to the industry researchers, also the manufacturing automobile, right? Franco, is maybe you know better, or maybe Jose maybe can able to explain more. Do you think outside of Germany, 5G private network really took off well? Because in US, the colleague of mine was mentioning there was a lot of hypes in US also when it comes to CBRS 5G private network, but then they were still settling on the 4G private network at the moment. So the 5G private network, it takes some time for them to really commercialize it. So I was wondering, yeah, Japan, yes, Japan Fujitsu have done some tests and trial and everything, but then nothing as big as like what been deployed in Germany. So maybe any one of you able to end?
Yeah, I can comment on that, and that's indeed the current situation. So I would say that Germany is currently the only place where the government has taken a big role in assigning this spectrum. So basically making clear that, okay, this spectrum is available, then whoever is required based on geographical location, they can get the license and then deploy the network. In other countries, so if I take, for example, Finland, the government say that, okay, we support the private networks, but then the spectrum has been given to the operators. And then how they said that the support will be done is that the operators are obliged to give a part of the spectrum to the private network. So that means that, but then, for example, they don't say at what price. So that means that the operator can say, okay, if you want a segment of my spectrum, then you need to pay this amount of money, and then it's not feasible. So, and then if you look at other parts of for example, in China, they haven't assigned any spectrum for private networks. In Korea, there's also given to the operators. So, and I think that this might also happen when talking about the millimeter waves. So, for example, now, I mean, based on the learning of these sub-6 gigahertz, then some countries are moving a bit of ahead of time and saying that, okay, before assigning the millimeter wave to the public operators, they are start considering reserving some fragment for the private network. But right now, what it's about the sub-6, I would say that Germany is the only place that it's clearly defined and then it's a bit regulated.
Yeah. And if I may add as well, we see as well in UK with band 77, which is, I will say, on top of Germany here, 3.8 to 4.2. But the thing is that it's not regulated. You know, in Europe, even if we have the EU, we have different frequency band in Germany, in UK, in France, I think it's a 2.6 TDD, which has been pushed by Agur and let's say some of the things here. I know in Sweden, they are speaking about doing something. In Spain, there is band 43, but there is only 10 or 20 megahertz. So it's not, I say, as an hardware manufacturer, it's very difficult. You need to cover all the frequency band for all the different type of markets, which is not, I will say, very attractive just to do things here and there. And what it needs for Europe is really the harmonization of the spectrum. And I know there was some discussion which has been started in the EU in different working groups to try to do that. The problem is that some of the bands are used, for example, for the military and some of the countries and some of the other places. So it will take 5 to 10 years, as far as I have understood, in order to have this type of regulation, like there is the CBRS all over the US, to have these type of things in Europe. So it's really a fragmented market up to date. And right now, in most of the country, it's still the MNO, which owns the spectrum, as you mentioned, Jose, which have actually the power to deploy those private network outside of Germany and UK. Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Anyone else have any questions?
Let me have a question. I would like to ask all the participants if they have experience or apply blockchain technology for decentralized data storage.
I have not.
Anyone else? Any experiences?
Honestly speaking, I'm still new in the blockchain industry, so I have a lot of learning to catch up.
Yeah, sorry.
So your question was about the decentralized data storage. This was the question. Yeah, perhaps I can provide a little bit of contact to colleagues of mine because they're working on edge computing and all this area, and I think there can be into research. So we have a big group doing this edge computing applications and research, and perhaps there's nice to have a contact between you and this colleague of mine. So I'm not an expert, but I know colleagues who are experienced in this.
I heard one project that was planning in deploying these private networks in areas, I mean, in Africa, South Africa, and other places. And they were proposing to use this like decentralized information for sharing access to the network. So basically, the idea is that they will give a bit the base stations and the core, and then they deploy it, and then whoever is going around by using, I don't know, if they have their own Bitcoin type of money or whatever, they will be accessing and paying the access to those networks. I mean, making it a bit more generic for everyone to access. That's the closest I came to this Bitcoin and decentralized info sharing.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you, Karin. Anyone else? Any experiences?
Yeah, I have one question for Rich. Rich, maybe you may have to you have some clue or some idea. When it comes to augmented reality, right? There's one is the device cost. Number two is the application cost. Number three, you have storage cost, and then number four, you have the implementation integration cost. Especially if you want to work together with mobile network operators, for example, if they want to package towards to their consumers, or together with the hyperscaler players. How do you have any idea, what will be the end cost will be offered towards to the consumers? Would you think that will be very costly because it's still new? And I'm sure mobile operator have not really finalized, right, when it comes to the AR glasses yet at this point when they are trying to offer towards the end consumers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it is really expensive at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm only really familiar within working with Spark AR, which is Facebook and Instagram's like AR creation system now. But for example, if a brand or agency wanted to go and get a filter created, it can cost them for the actual 3D asset and the experience to be created upwards of 20, sometimes even like 100,000. And it's partly because of the uniqueness and the skill required behind the creation, and also because there's not that many people doing it. So Spark AR, they have their own preferred partners, which they tend to send you to, and they're definitely the most expensive ones. But on the greater scheme of things, I think it's still very it's all still very new, so it's very expensive, and data is limited as well. So that means the actual experience needs to be really smart, the way they create the aesthetic, so that it's using less data but still has the appeal of looking like it's really complex. So it's still a way off, but I think we're in like a boom stage now, basically. And I'm hoping that means more people come into the space, prices go down a little bit, make it a bit more accessible for everyone. And then ultimately the creators are the ones who are going to make the most money from this, because they're going to be the ones who, eventually they'll create the spaces in the metaverse we experience within a meeting like this. We'll, in the future, maybe in 2 years, 3 years, we'll be in the metaverse, we'll be in a room, and that would have been created by someone. And maybe we're presenting on a fake, not a fake screen, but we're presenting on a virtual screen within this metaverse, which has been created by someone, and all these things. So right now it's so new, it's very expensive, but I think in the coming years, it will just blow up. So many people get involved in this, it'll bring the prices down, I hope.
All right. Anyone else? If not, so thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate for your time and effort. I really appreciate all of you to come and present today. The video will be ready in a couple of hours and will be uploaded on the YouTube. For those audience on our YouTube Global 5G Evolution, please click subscribe button. And thank you so much. Thank you for your time and effort. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.